Beneath the lantern sky. The night market was alive with colors, laughter, and the fragrance of roasted chestnuts. Mia walked slowly between the glowing stalls, her fingers brushing against silk scarves and paper lanterns. She wasn't looking for anything in particular, at least not something you could buy. Across the street, Ethan spotted her. He hadn't expected to see Mia again, not after 3 years of silence since university. They had once been inseparable, two friends who studied late together, who shared secrets under the campus oak tree. Yet, when graduation came, life pulled them in different directions. "Mia?" His voice trembled slightly as he called out. She turned, her eyes widening in surprise. "Ethan?" The world around them seemed to blur, the lanterns, the voices, even the music. All she could hear was her own heartbeat. Ethan looked the same, though there was something softer in his eyes, as if time had taught him to carry both strength and gentleness. They found themselves sitting at a quiet tea stall, steam rising from their cups. At first, the conversation was awkward, fragments of small talk, updates about work, about cities they had lived in. But soon, laughter broke through, and with it, the ease of old companionship returned. "I used to wonder," Mia admitted, her voice low, "if I made a mistake letting you go. We never said goodbye properly." Ethan smiled sadly. "I thought about you more than I should have. I always hoped fate would give us another chance." The lantern swayed above them, their warm light painting the night in gold. Ethan reached out, hesitating, then gently placed his hand over hers. She didn't pull away. Instead, she turned her palm upward, her fingers intertwining with his as naturally as if they had been waiting all along. Neither of them spoke for a while. They didn't need to. The silence carried everything. The regret of lost years, the wonder of reunion, and the fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, love had found its way back to them. As the market began to quiet, Mia looked up at the lanterns drifting into the sky. "Do you think it's too late for us?" she whispered. Ethan followed her gaze, his thumb brushing gently against her hand. "No," he said with certainty. "It's never too late when the heart remembers." And beneath the lantern-lit sky, two souls who had once been lost found their way home again. The cafe window. On a quiet street in the city, there was a little cafe with tall glass windows. Every morning, Emma sat by the same corner table, sipping her coffee and sketching in her notebook. She loved drawing people she saw passing by, strangers who never knew they were being captured on paper. One rainy day, as she tried to draw the blurry reflection of raindrops on the glass, a young man entered. He looked rushed, carrying an umbrella dripping with water. He spotted the only empty seat, right across from Emma. Their eyes met, and he offered a shy smile before settling down. His name was Daniel. He was a writer, struggling to finish a book he had been working on for years. When he opened his laptop, Emma couldn't help but peek at his screen. Words filled the page, sentences unfinished, but there was something beautiful about the rhythm of them. "Are you an artist?" Daniel finally asked, noticing her notebook. Emma nodded, showing him a quick sketch. His profile as he leaned on his hand, lost in thought. He laughed softly, a little embarrassed, but also touched. That was the beginning. Days turned into weeks. They kept meeting at the cafe, sometimes by chance, sometimes on purpose. Emma would draw, Daniel would write, and they'd talk in between about everything, books they loved, places they wanted to see, fears they couldn't name. Winter came, with frosted windows and steaming mugs of cocoa. Daniel confessed one evening, "I don't think I could finish my story until I met you. You're the missing piece." Emma's heart raced. For so long, she had drawn people from afar, never truly knowing them. But Daniel was different. He wasn't a stranger, he had become the story she hadn't known she was searching for. When spring arrived, the cafe window was no longer just a place where two strangers sat. It was the beginning of a love that felt as natural as breathing. Emma closed her sketchbook one day and looked at Daniel. "Maybe it's time I stopped drawing strangers," she whispered. "Because I've already found the one I want to draw forever." Daniel reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "And I found the one I want to write about, every day, for the rest of my life." Outside, the city moved on, unaware. But inside the little cafe, two hearts had found their home in each other. The bridge at dusk. Evelyn had always loved the old stone bridge that stretched across the quiet river in her hometown. It was her secret refuge, a place where she watched sunsets paint the sky in shades of gold and crimson. One evening, as the fading light shimmered on the water, she found someone else there, Daniel, the boy she'd once seen in school. They hadn't spoken in years. Life had carried them in different directions. Evelyn became a teacher, while Daniel worked in another city. Yet there he was, leaning against the railing, looking as though he belonged to that moment. "Evelyn," he asked, his voice soft with disbelief. She smiled, surprised at how natural it felt. "Daniel. It's been a long time." They talked as if no years had passed. Stories of old classmates turned into confessions about dreams, regrets, and the silent loneliness they both carried. Evelyn realized she was laughing more than she had in months. Daniel, too, seemed lighter, as if finding her again had loosened something inside him. The evening stretched into night. The stars glowed above, mirrored in the river below. Daniel hesitated before speaking, his voice almost a whisper. "I used to come here after school. I'd see you on the bridge sometimes. I always wanted to walk over and talk to you, but I never found the courage." Evelyn's heart skipped. She had felt the same back then but had been too shy to admit it. "Well," she said, smiling gently, "I guess you finally found it." He reached for her hand, hesitant at first, then steady as her fingers curled around his. It felt both new and familiar, as though the years apart had been preparing them for this moment. As the night deepened, the town lights shimmered in the distance. Evelyn knew that tomorrow would come with questions, about distance, about choices, about whether love discovered again could last. But for now, standing on the bridge at dusk with Daniel's hand in hers, she felt certain of one thing: some connections are never truly lost. They only wait for the right moment to return. The promise beneath the lanterns. The small riverside town glowed under the Lantern Festival. Thousands of lights drifted across the water, carrying silent wishes into the night sky. Among the crowd stood Emma, her hands gently clutching a lantern. She had returned after years away, uncertain if the past she once cherished still lingered here. She hadn't expected to see him. But there he was, Daniel, standing a few feet away, looking older, steadier, yet with the same quiet warmth in his eyes. For a moment, time folded, and Emma was 18 again, promising forever under these same lanterns. "Emma," he said softly, as if the years between them had never passed. Her heart raced. "Daniel. It's been a long time." They walked by the river, lanterns flickering around them. Memories surfaced, the way they used to dream about leaving the town together, how she chased her studies in the city while he stayed behind to care for his family. Their paths had split, but the feeling never truly faded. "I used to come here every year," Daniel admitted. "Hoping you might show up again." Emma lowered her gaze, guilt and tenderness tangling inside her. "And I was afraid that if I saw you, I'd never be able to leave again." Silence hung between them, broken only by the soft lapping of water. Then Daniel smiled, bittersweet yet full of hope. "Maybe leaving was what you needed. But maybe coming back is what we both need now." Emma's lantern slipped into the river. She watched its light drift until Daniel's hand brushed hers, tentative, but sure. This touch was not of youthful promises, but of something steadier, two souls who had wandered apart only to find their way back. As the last lanterns rose into the night sky, Emma leaned into him, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm not leaving again." And for the first time in years, the river carried not only wishes but a promise, one that would last beyond the glow of lanterns. The bridge at midnight. It was late summer when Emma returned to her hometown after years away. The streets felt both familiar and distant, like pages of a book she once loved but had forgotten to reread. On her first evening, she walked to the old stone bridge by the river. The air was heavy with the scent of jasmine, and the water shimmered in the moonlight. She remembered standing there as a teenager, listening to music with a boy whose laughter once meant everything. His name was Daniel. She had left for college, chasing dreams in a city far away, and life had pulled them apart. They promised letters, calls, and visits, but time dissolved those promises. Yet Emma never truly forgot him. As she leaned on the railing, lost in memory, she heard footsteps. A voice, warm, familiar, and achingly gentle, spoke behind her. "Emma?" She turned, and there he was. Daniel. Older now, his hair touched with silver, his eyes still carrying the kindness she remembered. For a moment, the world fell away, leaving only the bridge, the moon, and the quiet pull of something long buried. "I thought you moved away forever," he said softly. "I thought you'd forgotten me," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Not for a single day." They talked for hours, catching up on years that had passed too quickly, his work as a teacher, her life in the city, the losses, the joys, and the quiet regrets. The conversation flowed effortlessly, as if the years apart had been a pause rather than an ending. Finally, Daniel looked at her with a hesitation that carried both hope and fear. "Do you think we get second chances?" Emma's heart pounded. She remembered the laughter on this very bridge, the promises of youth, the love that had never truly faded. She stepped closer, her hand brushing against his. "I think," she said, her voice trembling but sure, "some stories are meant to be finished, no matter how long the pause." The night was silent except for the river's song, but between them, something unspoken was finally understood. The bridge, once a place of goodbye, had become their place of return. And under the midnight sky, two hearts, once lost, found their way back home.